And welcome to another episode of GamerHeads. My name is Roger, aka Rogue Leader 76, and with me are my co-host Blue,
aka Writer's View,
and my co-host Mike,
aka Pezman Mike,
and my other co-host Christian,
aka Fulgan.
Blue, welcome back.
Thank you.
I know.
I hope you guys can understand me. It's kind of rough still.
Oh. Well, I feel bad now that you're on the show. I feel like I'm torturing you. You're gonna talk, Blue, whether you like it or not.
Why don't you go through the entire history of gaming?
Yeah. Start with the letter A and go through letter Z. Well, I'm glad to have you back. We missed you last week because I did watch Cowboy Bebop.
I know. When I listened to the show, I had to pause it and take a lap around my house. I was so happy to hear that, and I was even happier to hear that you liked it.
Yeah, it is good. I like the music a lot.
Because if you didn't, I was going to have to quit the show.
Oh, wow. I'm glad I liked it then.
Those are some high standards.
Yeah. No, it's a good show. I mean, I like, it reminds me a little bit of Firefly, and then I love the music in it too. It's really good.
Yeah, when you watch it, you can see just how influential it has been.
Yeah.
On all kinds of shows and all kinds of genres that came after.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's really good. So
did you watch the English dub, Roger?
I did. No. Yeah. Wait. Yes. It's in English.
How do you not know?
Yeah, it's
pretty
in English.
obvious.
Right. Yeah, it's obvious. Yes, it's in English.
Is the voice acting all right?
Yeah, I think it's okay.
I've watched them both, and I like them both.
That's good.
I actually saw the English one first back when it aired on Adult Swim.
Oh.
Way back in the day when it first came out.
I see.
Nice. Yeah, I was... Oh, go ahead, Christian.
I was just going to say that usually when there is an English dub, most of the time you'll get everyone saying, don't do that one.
Oh.
That's kind of elitist, though, I think.
Yeah.
Have you seen it, Christian?
No, I have not.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
But I think, with pretty much any anime, you'll get, for the most part, the English dub is of not as good quality when compared to the Japanese voice acting. But I don't understand Japanese, so most of the time I can't even tell anyways.
Yeah.
I think probably that used to be the case, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I think they do really well with dubs these days.
That's good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and so I was a little worried. So it used to be, so I haven't checked out Crunchyroll in a long... Is that Crunchyroll, that app, right? That you can watch anime? So I used to have that, and then I re-downloaded it, and then it was like, oh, if you want to watch anime on this, it's like you have to pay for it. I'm like, wait, what? That wasn't like that before. But then it was on Hulu, and I was like, yay! so I've been watching on Hulu.
I don't know if it's still on there, but YouTube has a fan dub of the Animal Crossing movie, and that was never
There's an Animal Crossing movie.
Yeah, animated movie. It's about, I think it's like an hour and 15 minutes long. They came out in theaters in Japan. They never released it, of course, overseas. So there was a group that did their own fan. And it was actually very good quality for a fan dub.
Wow. Well,
that's all I got.
Yeah,
you piqued my interest, Mike.
Yeah, I'll check it out, so.
Scott,
I hope that the plot of the movie is Tom Nook going around with brass knuckles demanding his money.
Yep,
that would be awesome.
It's a heist movie starring Red.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, that's right. Yeah, that guy. He's your cousin though, but not really. I think he just uses.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because he calls everybody cuz.
Yeah. That guy's shady, but you still buy stuff from that guy.
Yep.
Anyway, so I've been watching that show. So I will let you know when I complete the whole series, but I've been enjoying it so far. So
please do. You should actually write a feature of it for the site.
Oh.
Like a newbie's first time through Cowboy Bebop or something.
There you go.
Okay. All right. I will. Yeah.
Roger reacts.
Roger reacts.
That's a good column name. I like that.
I'll do it. I'll have a lot of reaction today to one of the games that we're reviewing. So
Yeah.
Speaking of which, today we'll be reviewing a couple of games. We have a review of Our World Is Ended and Galak Z, The Void. And then we also have some news. And then our hot topic actually revolves around an article that our friend Robert wrote. And they were talking about Days Gone, and the score that it has on Metacritic is a 7 out of 10. And people seem to be saying that's a bad game. So I want to talk about, is 7 out of 10 really a bad review score? And why do people think that? So we'll talk about that today. But first, in honor of May the 4th, so May the 4th be with you guys.
And also with you.
That popped into my head too.
I would go to that church. I would go to that church.
Yeah, any churchgoer will automatically respond with that. Just a knee-jerk reaction.
Yes. So in honor of May the 4th, though, I thought our icebreaker, well, actually, I think we all agreed to this. We should do something about Star Wars, so I thought we could talk about our favorite Star Wars game.
Nice.
So, Mike, I'll start with you. What is your favorite Star Wars game?
You really shouldn't have started with me.
Uh-oh. Why? You have so many?
I've played 2 Star Wars games in my life.
Are you not a Star Wars fan?
I mean, I'll watch a Star Wars movie.
What?
Do I have to quit the show again?
I mean, I know.
No, I don't think you have to quit, Blue. I think somebody has to get off our show, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
What the heck, Mike?
Because I don't know who Luke Skyblaster is.
Oh my god.
That's good.
Nice.
No, I've only played Empire Strikes Back on the Atari 2600.
Oh wow.
Oh,
that's not bad.
Not good.
That's
not good.
Tough. That's a tough game.
Yeah, and it's not good.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's good for an Atari game, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that's true.
Oh wait, Atari. I'm sorry. Yeah. I thought you were saying the Super Nintendo.
Oh no, Super Nintendo version is good. Yeah, Atari's not good.
No, that's where you have to blast the AT-ATs in the chest cavity in that one only specific spot. Man, it's tough. But to that point, the only other game I ever played, and I really enjoyed it, was Shadows of the Empire on the 64.
Not bad.
Oh yeah, that's a good game.
Also, because I really
got that not too long ago, but I still play it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, there weren't many other options of games to play on the 64 at that time, so I picked that one up, and that Hoth level is one of my favorites. I just played that one over and over again.
That is a good, yeah.
Yeah, and also where you're piloting the Millennium Falcon in the and need to escape. I think it was the Death Star before it explodes and stuff. It was a good game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was it. I think those are the only Star Wars games. I remember being really excited about Phantom Menace on the PS1 because it was billed as a beat 'em up like Streets of Rage.
Oh.
And it did play. And it
That would be terrible.
Well, it was terrible. Yeah, and it was like the controls were awful. Like you'd fall into pits that weren't there, things like that. It was bad. But,
what game is this?
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace. Okay, I gotcha.
So yeah, that was really the only Star Wars games I ever played. So
you never even played the Pod Racer arcade
That's just gonna ask the same thing.
Yeah.
No.
That one's really good.
Have you ever played the Star Wars arcade game?
No.
Oh.
The arcade. That's the one where you're in the giant ship thing.
Yeah.
Or,
yeah.
Nope. Never heard of it.
Oh.
Never heard of it. As soon as you describe what it is.
Yeah.
Mike's on a roll today.
Yeah.
Mr. Funny.
Yep.
That's good.
Wow.
So yeah, no, that's and so yeah, I'm not the person to go to first on this, but I did play Shadows of the Empire a lot. So
okay. That's a good game. What about you, Christian? I know you played some Star Wars games.
Yeah. Shout out to Star Wars Episode 3, the video game, for being a movie licensed game that doesn't absolutely suck. Game's surprisingly good. But my favorite Star Wars game was one that I played first at a McDonald's. And then my dad got it.
What?
So I had a GameCube back in the day. And sometimes there were a few McDonald's restaurants that would have a a GameCube in there, like an N64, and one had a GameCube, and I played like Super Mario Sunshine for the first time, and I played Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader for the first time. And my dad actually ended up getting the game at one point in time. We went camping once, and my dad got like 2 GameCube games for some reason, and we had power in the camper, so we would play games. And one of them was, what was it? It was Piglet's Big Adventure, which was like a Winnie the Pooh game, and that's the one that he let us play. And then for himself, he got Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2. And there was one time I was outside playing, and I came back in and I saw my dad playing it, and then he turned it off immediately and then put it away. And ever since then, I was like wildly obsessed with whatever it was my dad was playing. And I like caught a glimpse of the case, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. This looks amazing. And I like wrote in my diary for like the next 2 weeks, just like fantasizing about me playing this game, me asking my dad, can I play the Star Wars game, please? And him saying no, and me crying. And then
you wrote this all in your journal?
Yeah, and then like a week later.
He said diary.
Diary.
You have to respect his terminology.
That's
he said
right.
diary.
Thank you, Blue. So about a week after we got back from camping, I was talking to my mom, and I was like, Mom, I really want to play that Star Wars game. Do you think Dad would be mad at me if I played it? And she was like, no, I don't think so. And I'm like, what? Like, it's going to be okay? And she was like, yeah, you can go ahead and play it. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I went, I got it, I popped it in, and I played this game at a point in time when I had not seen any of the original trilogy Star Wars movies. And that game begins with the blowing up of the first Death Star. And that game, like, makes that sequence compelling, absent of any of the movie. Like, that game is fantastic, absent of the source material. And I think that's a real testament to how great that is.
Why would you want to play the game if you didn't even see the original trilogy?
Yeah. I grew up with Star Wars 1, 2, and 3. And
oh my God. I am so sorry.
So, anything Star Wars, I just wanted my hands on it.
Christian, you just said in the last 5 minutes has explained a lot about you, man.
I'm sorry, Roger.
I am so sorry that my generation has failed you, apparently, and made you watch the first 3 movies. You need to see. You've seen the trilogy now, right?
Oh yeah, plenty of times.
Okay, thank God. Oh my God. So
yeah,
wow. Okay.
The main
There's
thing
a lot to unwrap.
I'm wondering about Christian's story is what on earth were those controllers like at that McDonald's?
Have you ever seen this?
How disgusting must they have been?
Oh man, I don't want to think about that now. Yeah, because I probably immediately ate food afterwards.
Yeah.
That's not good to think about.
It's so funny that you say that, Christian, because when I lived outside of Madison, in Sauk City, they had a GameCube inside the McDonald's, and that was the first and only time I've ever seen that. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And this is before I had kids, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought the same thing. I'm like, but there's probably slimy, goopy hands all over that controller.
Yeah, kids sneezing and drooling and chewing on it, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. And it didn't really work very well either. Like, I remember, like...
Oh, no. That's because they were chewing on it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Oh, boy.
Yeah, they kind of ended that. That didn't, that like you said, there was only a couple of McDonald's that actually had that, and then that experiment ended after that experiment. As far as I know, I don't think any McDonald's has that now. So interesting. So a lot to unwrap there, Christian, but we don't have time for all of that. So Blue, what is your favorite Star Wars game?
I think this is actually a trick, like generational question. So you can tell how old everybody is by their answers. Because my favorite Star Wars games are the Super Star Wars trilogy on Super Nintendo.
Nice.
That is a good series.
Yes. And the first one, Super Star Wars, is my favorite. I worked so hard at that game as a kid. And then I got to where I could beat it, and it was awesome. And then I tried picking it up a couple months ago, and I was just like, how the hell did I used to do this? This is so hard. I can't even get past the first level.
Yeah. But I mean, as a kid, I thought that was awesome, but there are some things in that game that just don't make sense. Like, don't you fight against like a big scorpion or something?
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
It's canon.
Besides, I mean, if you read any of the books of the EU, you know there are all kinds of monsters out there. So.
That's true. That is true. That is true. Just I didn't see them in the original Star Wars movie.
They were digitally put back in by George Lucas.
So. You shut your mouth.
That's right. No, that was a good series. I really loved Return of the Jedi out of that series. Yeah. I really loved Return of the Jedi. Yeah.
And then as a special mention, also that same trilogy on Game Boy. I spent a lot of time. Even though the Star Wars one is different, but...
No scorpion in that one?
It's completely different game.
Oh. I haven't played the Game Boy ones at all. But yeah, I really like those series too. I would say for myself, my favorite Star Wars game would have to be Battlefront 2, the original Battlefront 2, not the new one. The original Battlefront 2. That game was so good for its time, and it was cross-play compatible, so you could play... If you had a PS2, you could play that with a PC player. So it was awesome. It was so cool. I loved that game a lot. And you could play, like, that was introducing, like, heroes, too. So you could either play as a hero or take on the heroes. And, like, Luke Skywalker would be running up and you'd just be, like, throwing a bunch of grenades at him and try to take him out. Oh, that game was so good. And I think last month it was free on Xbox Gold. So
not bad.
Yeah. So I really like that game a lot. So, listeners, what are your favorite Star Wars games in honor of May the 4th? You can let us know by sending us a tweet at GamerHeadsPC. You can send us an email at info@GamerHeadsPodcast. You can go to our website at GamerHeadsPodcast.com and leave us a message there. Or you can go to our Facebook page as well, and that's Facebook.com/GamerHeadsPodcast, and leave us a message there as well. All right, so with that, let's move on to our news. And I have a couple items here, and like every week, if you have something that you would like to bring up, please feel free to do so. The first one, though, I have... Blue, you brought this up. You want to read the first news item? Uh-oh. Blue? Mike?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, oof. I thought I lost you, Blue.
No, I'm sorry. I was muted. I had a minor coughing fit. And
okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't even call you at all. I feel bad. Blue, do you want to read all the news items this week?
I am here. I am a team member. I am participating. Anyway. This comes from Game Informer. Epic Games acquires Rocket League developer Psyonix. And the big question on everybody's mind is, will Rocket League continue to be sold on Steam?
Yeah.
Or will it become an exclusive?
Yeah.
I'm looking it up. I'm fact-checking.
So Epic said that they'll continue to support it, but there's no word whether or not they're going to sell new copies on Steam. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, this is a pretty big. Rocket League is still available on Steam right now. I think that this is pretty big. I mean, especially seeing with all the stuff they're doing with Fortnite in terms of keeping it going with events and and all that. I think it's interesting to see what they're going to do with Rocket League, or what they're going to allow Psyonix to do, I should say. Mm-hmm. My only concern is a lot of the stuff in Fortnite is really overpriced, and a lot of the stuff in Rocket League is reasonably priced. Like I'm okay with spending $3 to get the Jurassic Park Jeep, in Rocket League. I'm not going to pay $20 like Epic charges for these Fortnite skins.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's an interesting acquisition. I don't understand why now, or kind of what they saw in that, because Rocket League was huge 3 years ago. Like, it was the Fortnite of 3 years ago in some sense. And it has continued to, engender a fan base by putting out like this Rocket Pass, which is basically the Fortnite Battle Pass, and continued with updates, new modes, all that kind of thing. And the Psyonix people have been very vocal about them not having any desire to put out a Rocket League 2 anytime soon. They're totally fine just continuing to support Rocket League. So by buying Psyonix, they would get exclusive rights to any future games they make, I guess. But like, Psyonix hasn't continuously demonstrated their, prowess at making successful games. I feel like Rocket League was very much lightning that struck just right, because they made a game right before Rocket League called Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket-Powered Battle Cars. That was the same thing. It was car soccer, but it was just a little too complex, and they just simplified everything for Rocket League, and then it took off.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah,
Is that seriously the name?
Yes.
Yep.
And people thought it was too complicated, huh?
Yeah.
With a name like that, why would you think it would be a complicated game?
Who knows?
But Rocket League still is pretty popular. I watch the tournament, the pro leagues on Twitch, and there's tens of thousands of viewers that
holy cow
that tune into the pro league.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, from an esports side, Rocket League is still extremely popular, and I would think that if Epic bought them, I would think that they would also say, there's potential here for more growth too. So that's my thought, at least.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think Epic would go and buy this and thinking, there's nothing, this is a dead end. So I don't know. That's interesting for sure. We'll see what the future holds, but
yep,
certainly interesting. Mike, do you want to take the next item?
I sure can. This comes from Nintendo Life. This is some major news. The Sonic the Hedgehog movie director promises to change Sonic's controversial design. Since the original trailer dropped, people have expressed their dislike, and that's putting it lightly, of the design of Sonic, and the director and the studio have heard the complaints. So director Jeff Fowler tweeted, "Thank you for the support and the criticism. The message is loud and clear. You aren't happy with the design and you want changes. It's going to happen. Everyone at Paramount and Sega are fully committed to making this character the best he can be."
That's crazy.
This is crazy. Amazing on so many levels, because I think this is the first time I've ever heard of Hollywood taking its head out of its collective rear end and listening to what the people want.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to tell us what we want. I hope Michael Bay is paying attention.
Oh, wow.
I'm really happy to hear about this. But what I find funny is that there's so many people now on Twitter coming to their defense. Oh, they didn't have to change it. Everyone's going to be overworked. Not that I'm saying that they should be overworked, but it's just like the people who are arguing now are arguing in the other direction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just internet.
Yeah. So I will say this. So when the trailer dropped, I was watching it over Christian's shoulder, and I'm like, this looks terrible. This looks really bad. This looks really, really bad. And Sonic looked kind of weird, but I think the part that I thought was bad, but also good in the same sense, that Jim Carrey's back. He's back to his normal Jim Carrey self, except that he's playing Jim Carrey in this movie. Huh. And somebody said it's like Ace Ventura 3.
Nice.
Because him as Dr. Robotnik, I'm sorry. It looks terrible. I thought that was the part that looked terrible. I didn't really care about the Sonic design. I didn't really care about that. But I think the movie in itself,
because that's what everybody's saying is the sole saving grace that the film seems to have. Is Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik.
They're saying he's going to carry this movie.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, that's the pun everybody's been making.
That's not my joke. I'm not taking credit for that joke.
I think people think that looks good.
I honestly to be completely honest with you, if you watch that trailer, there are some things that show that they're trying to do what they can to keep it as faithful to the game as possible. Obviously, Sonic's design, notwithstanding. Granted, at the end of the trailer, Jim Carrey actually looks like Robotnik, except for the giant, egg body, but at least his face and the giant mustache and the, and the goggles and everything. But you can tell in the trailer that he is like a engineering genius. He's got all these, he's a master of robotics. which in the game, all the he creates robots and traps all the furry creatures inside them. There's a ton of weapons in it. I don't know. I think there's rings. I saw the rings in the trailer. I'm not saying that's a good trailer. I'm not defending the trailer. I'm just saying in terms of Dr. Robotnik, it looks like they're capturing his I guess what makes him him. Now the script is from what I've heard sounds absolutely terrible, but at least they're trying.
Yeah, they're giving the bare minimum, like couple nods here and there. To
yes.
Try to keep Sonic fans happy. But I think what's the other interesting thing about this is that, like, they released that poster a couple months ago and everybody went, "Ooh, no, that looks awful."
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then they released that teaser shot of this design of Sonic, and it broke the internet. Everybody said, "This is awful." And then the trailer comes out and surprise, surprise, everybody says, "This is awful." And now they're like, "Oh, thanks for the criticism. We heard you." I was like, "We've been saying this for months."
Yeah.
And what changed?
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's the teeth. Once they saw the teeth, they're like, "That's
God,
it."
The teeth are the worst part. They're absolutely the worst part.
It's disgusting looking.
Okay. So this is the problem. This movie, like, is the Army in Sonic games at all? Like the U.S. Army?
No.
Does
Sonic Adventure?
Dr. Robotnik work for the Army as a contractor?
No.
Okay. And
Roger,
Dr.
it's a train wreck. It's a dumpster
Yeah,
fire.
it's bad.
You don't need to search for ways that this is going to be like the game because it's not.
I try to see the best in everything, as you just heard 30 seconds ago. It's going to be difficult for me to defend this. But we'll see how the new design. I think the new design. I'm hoping that it can't be much worse, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's crazy because if they're really going to redesign him, you think about how much work and rendering and all that. It could set the movie back by a year.
No kidding.
I don't see how they can actually do that.
Yeah. And it's not going to make a better movie. The movie's still going to be what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll just not have to look at this disgusting thing half the time, which I guess will be nice. But yeah, I think the movie's still going to be not good, which kind of has me more excited than I would be otherwise. Oh, it looks like the most beautiful train wreck, and I'm so excited. I mean, Sonic with generic military plot. I mean, come on. It like reminds me of like the Woody Woodpecker movie, just so generic cookie cutter, happy-go-lucky family movie. And like even the trailer showcased a logical inconsistency where, Sonic, he's so fast, he can freeze time and play drums with missiles.
Yeah.
But he also gets shot with a dart gun and gets caught off guard.
Yeah.
So I guess he couldn't freeze time there. That's too bad. Maybe the movie will explain that, but
he was trying to be funny. He was trying to disarm him with his humor.
I guess so.
But why bother if you can just get out of the way?
Yeah, I don't know. This is so bad. And is Dr. Robotnik? I'm sorry. Going back on this.
Keep going back.
Is he known? Is he known for his humor? Is he known to be like witty and funny?
No.
It doesn't matter. You've got Jim Carrey.
This is so bad. This is so bad. I'm for all you Sonic fans out there. And there's one in particular. I know they're listening to this episode, and I know they know who they are. Come on, as a Sonic fan, you must say this is bad. I mean, don't defend this. This is garbage. You deserve better. That's all I'm saying. You deserve better. In the same sense, I think the director of the Pokemon movie that's coming out. The Detective
Pikachu.
Yeah, the Detective Pikachu. They said, "Oh my gosh, it would be a nightmare if we had to redesign it." If somebody came out and said that Pikachu looked terrible, which I guess that movie's coming out with mixed reviews right now too. Some critics are saying it's not good.
Well, that's the thing is that the people that are saying it's good are people that are writing for like gamer sites and but the people that are saying that it's bad are people that write for like movie sites, are like typical movie critics.
Yeah.
And then this one's not made for them. So I'm going to see it. I'm excited for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it looks funny.
Not Sonic.
Right?
Pikachu. Detective Pikachu. Let me throw that out
Write
there.
a review for the site.
Yeah.
Okay. I could do that.
I just finally saw the trailer a couple days ago when we went to see Avengers, and yeah, that looks quality.
Yeah.
Just coming from somebody on the outside who doesn't even play Pokemon.
What?
It's not for me. I understand.
You don't. Have you ever played Pokemon at all?
Yes, we've been over this. I have tried Pokemon games and not enjoyed them. So
okay. And Mike is the biggest Pokemon fan ever, right?
Oh God, no. I've never beaten a Pokemon. Actually, the first Pokemon game I ever played was Alpha Sapphire on the 3DS. So it took me a long time to even get into the series.
Oh.
And what I did? Yes, I did beat that game. But I only played Pokemon games for probably about halfway through, and then I give up.
Christian, Christian, you're the Pokemon generation. Are you excited about this movie?
I think I got a lot of excitement or a lot of enjoyment out of the trailer that made me feel like I don't really have to go to the movie. Because I just like seeing these cool new Pokemon designs. Because I'm like, oh, Mr. Mime, that's cool. That's a cool way to use them. Or, whoa, that's a freaky looking Charizard. I don't need to see, an hour of Ryan Reynolds talking his Pikachu and then waking up and then bumbling around and being like, what's up, dude? I don't need an hour of that just to get the half hour of interesting Pokemon stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of interesting. And I got to keep telling myself that every Pikachu is different, right? Because,
yep.
They're not Ash's Pikachu. So,
I
got to keep telling myself that. I don't know.
Such high standards in this episode.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to film Twitter.
Yeah.
I love reading movie review summaries for the very dry and bad puns. That is my favorite part about any movie critic. They love their bad puns, like the Associated Press review summary for for Detective Pikachu is, you've played Pokemon Go, right? Call this one Pokemon Don't Go.
Oh.
That's the best I got.
Yeah, this is every movie review, man. They're so bad. Yeah. They're trying. They're grasping at straws for the next pun that they can put up on their review.
Mike, when you write your review of Sonic, that's how you gotta write it. Or of Pokemon, or whatever movie you're gonna review. You could review both of them. You gotta write it that way.
The whole thing will be filled with terrible puns.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds amazing.
It won't even make sense. It'll just be pun after pun. And then I'll give it a grade.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, funny. And then the last item that I have, Christian, you want to take the last item?
Sure. Speaking of trash, this one's from Games Radar. 17,000 Niantic players helped collect 145 tons of trash around the world for Earth Day 2019. So Niantic revealed that 17,000 Pokemon Go and Ingress players, they collected 145 tons of trash for a total of 41,000 hours in the name of Earth Day 2019. The impressive feat brought the player communities together with non-government organizations to collect rubbish from various different locations across the globe and raise awareness about the environment.
Yeah, so I think they had 300 different events going on around Earth Day to help promote that and get people out there to pick up trash. That's awesome. Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I wanted to include something, because you always hear bad things about gamers, how bad gamers are and games are. Not gamers. Well, not all gamers.
Yeah, the gamer being the lazy basement dweller.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that would be cool to have highlight something where, hey, you know what? There's some positive things that can happen in gaming world too. So
heck yeah.
Yeah. That's all I had for the news. Do you guys have anything else?
The new Starlink, Star Fox stuff dropped this week,
right.
didn't it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the
Crimson Moon
DLC. Is that what it is?
I think so. I think it's called. Yeah, it's specifically Star Fox related.
Yeah.
So does that mean it's not on other platforms?
I would guess not. That's really weird now that you mention that.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, yeah, that is really weird.
That's the only bit of news I got. Slow week.
So, kind of going off of that. So, Mike, I know you have the game, but Blue or Christian, have you played Starlink at all?
No.
No.
Okay. So what's really weird about it is that so I have it on a Switch, and Mike, you have it on a Switch, right?
Yep.
And so there is. Have you played it yet, Mike, or no?
That's gonna be a negatory.
That's smart, Mike. Don't let them know you have it, and then they won't send you emails asking you if you'll play it again.
Yeah, I do get emails from Ubisoft saying, "Are you gonna come back this weekend and play the game?" I'm like, "Oh my god, stop guilting me." But there's tons of content in the game, even a whole chunk of story that is specific to Fox McCloud and and his group. And I'm thinking, how could this be? Like, this doesn't exist in the other games at all. It's so weird to me. It's so weird to think that they cut a lot of that out of the other games, or didn't include it. So that's impressive. I don't know. It seems like they kind of given up hope on the game. Well, and I mean, at least from the Toys to Life perspective, because they said they're not going to make any more ships or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for the ships to come down in price.
There you go. Good call.
Anything else?
Well,
nope.
If we were speaking about bad movie adaptations,
Ooh.
You better not say Endgame was bad. What? What?
That wasn't what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Would it matter if I did?
No, not really.
See, so it was announced this week because they're for the Cowboy Bebop adaptation, that live action adaptation that Netflix is doing. They're releasing, a lot of casting decisions, and then it came out that the Ein is going to be played not by a corgi, as in the anime, but by a Siberian Husky.
What?
Right? What
That's
is that even about? Why? Literally, why? There's no reason. I don't even know where to begin with that.
Wow.
Maybe because Huskies are easier to train or something?
That's not even a little bit true.
Yeah, I think Huskies aren't the smartest dogs.
No, really. I own Huskies, and they are smart enough to know they don't have to listen to you. That's the thing.
Oh, no.
Corgis are herding dogs, so they're super athletic, super smart, and they want to please you. They want to do what you say. They would be like the perfect movie dog. And so I have no idea the logic behind this.
Yeah, that's weird.
My little brother doesn't know what a corgi is, but he does love himself a husky. Maybe they're shooting for my brother.
There you go.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they just figure huskies are cooler looking. I don't know. It's stupid. It's really, really stupid.
Oh boy.
Will it make you not watch the show though?
Well, I wasn't going to watch it anyway, but it's like every time I hear something new about it, I'm just like, stop ruining Cowboy Bebop.
Really? You're not excited about the live action at all?
No, it's going to be terrible.
Because it has some
here's
pretty
the thing.
big names in it.
Here's the thing. The Cowboy Bebop anime is about as close to perfection as you can come.
Oh.
So anything that they try is going to be less. It doesn't matter how good of a job they do.
Yeah.
It's just going to be less.
Do you think that they're going to take the storylines and the... I mean, do you think it's going to be like brand new, or do you think they're going to take the same exact story and pop it as live action?
I would imagine that's what they would do. It's what they did with Death Note when they ruined that one.
Oh, yeah.
They've already demonstrated that they don't particularly care about understanding the source material.
Yeah.
They just kind of want to throw some nods into the people who are fans and then do their own thing.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like Sonic.
You see, there's a pattern here.
There is.
About studios who just want to make money off of established properties.
The next trailer for Sonic, they're going to completely change Sonic, and he's going to be a corgi now.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it comes full circle.
Yep.
Oh boy. Jeez.
It's not even going to be animated. It's just going to be an actual
a
dog.
real corgi. Doesn't even talk or anything. He doesn't even run fast.
But he'll have a chili dog in his mouth.
Heck yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's your nod, gamers. Now shut up.
Exactly.
Was he eating a chili dog in the trailer at all? I don't remember.
No.
Oh.
I don't think I saw him
Okay.
doing that.
Well.
But yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Anyway.
Oh. All right. Well, let's move on to our listener feedback then. Listeners, you can get a hold of us if you want to give us some feedback. You can send us a tweet. And Christian, how can people send us a tweet?
At GamerHeads PC.
And they can send us an email.
info@gamerheadspodcast.com.
And what's our Facebook page?
Facebook.com/GamerHeadsPodcast.
And finally, we have a website too. What's that, Christian?
GamerHeadsPodcast.com.
All right. We still have to work on the jingle for that, but that would be awesome. Anyway, so
I'm so
last
impressed,
week,
though. I'm so impressed that he never says the wrong one.
I know,
I
and
get
changed
close.
it up. I changed it up.
No matter what order you do it, he's ready.
I know. So last week we asked, because of Endgame, we asked what your favorite Marvel game is, and here are some of your responses. So the first one is from Honest Pokemon and at Honest Pokemon, and they tweeted Spider-Man and Venom Separation Anxiety. Yeah, I like that game. I think, Mike, you said that you liked the other one more, right?
Yeah, I never played Separation Anxiety. I did play Maximum Carnage, and I loved Maximum Carnage.
Yeah,
but I never did. Separation Anxiety came out right around the time that I moved away from comics.
Oh.
So, but I was really familiar with Maximum Carnage because I read that storyline. But that was right when I stopped the comics and started paying attention to, I don't know, other things.
Which one came out first? I don't remember.
Maximum Carnage came first.
Okay.
That's when Carnage first showed up. But Separation Anxiety has Carnage and the female Carnage. I forgot what her name was. I apologize to all our diehard Spider-Man fans out there.
Carnage-ina.
Yeah.
So.
What did you move on to, Mike?
What did I move on to? Oh, you know what? I moved on to grunge.
Oh.
And yeah, grunge music, with the whole tying my flannel around my waist.
Yep. Oh, I know.
Even though it's like 15 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Wearing a band shirt. And basketball. I was getting to those. That was right when the Bulls were doing all their things. So
yeah, those two don't mix at all, man. Grunge was against all that kind of established sportsy.
But at the same time, I'm also into Evil Dead, and then I'll also play Yoshi's Crafted World. So
that's true.
I'm a man of many talents, Roger.
That's true. So you would wear your flannel shirt with your Michael Jordan jersey.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. No, man, Dennis Rodman.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
So,
cool. Let's next one here. Mike, do you want to take the next one?
Sure. This comes from Retro Gift Monster. They said Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, followed by Marvel vs. Capcom 2. But for modern stuff, the new Spider-Man game by Sony was excellent.
Of course.
All good choices. I'm surprised Ultimate Alliance 2 that he chose that over Ultimate Alliance 1, because a lot of people are saying that Part 1 was the better game.
Yeah. In my opinion, I think the first one was much better game. Mm-hmm. I beat the first one. The second one I didn't beat because I just didn't get into it. I just couldn't get into it. But the first one, I put in so many hours into that game to unlock all the suits and everything. Oh my god.
Yeah, so many characters in that. That's one thing I'm kind of worried about for Ultimate Alliance 3. Yeah. That they're not going to go with as deep as a roster and with all the different costumes. Like, they had some really obscure characters. I think you could play as... Well, Blade's not very obscure, but you could play as Blade and everything. Even there was one level, if I'm not mistaken, that was entirely dedicated to the X-Men villain Arcade.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And he's not a very well-known X-Men villain.
No, he's not, but they made that X-Men Arcade's Revenge, that video game.
Yeah.
Which was not good, but they made that game. That is not on anybody's list. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Christian, you want to take the next one?
Sure. Overthinkery1 tweeted Spider-Man 2018 or Spider-Man 2 2006. He also really enjoyed Marvel superheroes and even the X-Men 3 game of the film, which barely followed the movie and was therefore better than it might have been.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I mean, you talked about both of those games. You liked Spider-Man. Was it Spider-Man 2 you liked? Right, Christian?
Spider-Man 1999?
Okay.
Spider-Man 2 is great, though, also.
Oh,
yeah.
That's the one where you're delivering pizzas, right? Spider-Man
Heck
2?
yeah.
Yeah.
I platinumed Lego Marvel Superheroes.
Mike.
That was a good game. I really enjoyed playing that.
It is.
I thought you were going to say you platinum Spider-Man, Mike. I got so excited.
Oh, no, I'm still working on that.
You know, that game, what was it? I think like the most platinums to be achieved was on Spider-Man, the 2018 game.
Wow.
It wasn't
It's pretty easy platinum. It's a fun one.
I think it was like 10% of the people that own the game platinumed it.
Jeez.
Largest percentage of people platinuming a game, so crazy. And Blue, do you want to take the last one?
Sure. This comes from Crunchy Kong, and he said the new Spider-Man game by a mile. It really is that good.
Yeah, everybody loved
Very
it.
good.
And it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny because actually a lot of people responded with like that exact phrasing. It really is that good.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is. It's a fantastic game. Like, to me, I mean, I still think that's my game of the year last year.
Wow.
So it's really good. Although I have to admit,
it really is that good.
It really is that good.
It really is that good.
It really is. I have not played God of War yet, so I do have to play that.
You really need to do that.
I know. Yeah, so thanks everybody for tweeting your favorite Marvel game. Bob would ask, Blue, what is your favorite Marvel game?
Why you got to do that?
Uh-oh.
Awkward silence.
Hey, look over there. That's really interesting.
Okay, so I do have to ask though. You did see Endgame, right?
Yeah.
You didn't like it?
I mean, it's fine.
Okay.
It's, bright colors and explosions and whatnot. It's fine.
Did your husband like it?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. Did you see all the other movies before this or no?
No, I've probably seen like 3 of them.
Okay.
So
did you feel
I don't
lost?
know. Yeah, I don't know who anybody is. I don't know why
Okay.
the good guys are fighting with each other. That seems kind of stupid to me. But there's a lot of melodrama that's lost on me.
Yeah.
But, that's okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fan service in that movie. There's
Yeah,
like
there
a
is.
whole third where they're basically just referencing previous movies. And that would be significantly less amusing if you have not seen those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agreed.
It was
Yeah,
very
it would be hard to
long,
watch that.
but I ran out of popcorn.
Oh, no.
I know. So, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I understand it was a very big event, so.
Yeah. It's what I think it might make the most money after this weekend out of all
I
movies.
think that's what I heard is that it finally dethroned Avatar.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Like,
Which, even not knowing what's going on, I like this movie better than Avatar.
oh my gosh, yes. 100% agree.
So.
There's a lot of movies, though, I would like more than Avatar. I might actually like the Sonic movie more than Avatar.
Oof.
They redesigned Sonic to be one of those Avatar people.
Yeah,
Oh, a Nabi. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I just one side note about Avatar. Did you know this? That people like killed themselves after watching that movie, not because it was bad, but because the fact that they couldn't live in that world.
Huh.
Because they were so depressed because it was so beautiful. And I thought that movie was really bad.
Well, they
It
won't live to
was
see the
really
3 Avatar sequels that are planned.
I know.
might not live to see the 3
Or
Avatar
how
sequels.
in Disney World, they recently opened like the Avatar World
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
in preparation for hopefully all the money they plan to rake in
Jeez.
for the
Ridiculous.
Avatar sequels.
Yeah. Yeah. They can keep those sequels. I don't need to see them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, thanks again, everybody, for sending us your feedback. Let's move on then to our push select game review section. I'm going to start with the game that that my least favorite of the two. And I like the other one, but this one I will admit I'm not a big fan of. And it's gonna So I'll just say it. The game is Our World Is Ended, and it is a visual novel. And when I say visual novel, I really mean it's a novel. It's not a game. You're not playing anything. There's no gameplay in this game whatsoever. It's just reading and a lot of reading. And a lot of reading.
So you never pick a dialogue option?
Once I did. Once. And it didn't seem to really make a difference. And I didn't even understand how or what I was doing, because to pick the dialogue option, it was like all these words were just scrolling past like really fast, and I had to like stop on one of them, and I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. So I didn't even care at this point. I was like over an hour into the game when I first got my first selection of what dialogue you can pick.
Okay.
So I'll start with a positive. The voice acting is good. It's Japanese, and it's good voice acting. And the artwork is good. I mean, it's an anime style artwork, and it's good. The story is mildly entertaining, but not something that I want to sit through and read. And that's it. Those are the good things. Now let's go with the bad. Sorry. This game is so perverted. I am not a prude. I am not a prude by any means. But this game starts off in the first 5 minutes of the game. Your character is like staring at a high school girl's breasts and talking about how her female parts are a weapon of destruction for you or something. I don't know. I didn't get it. And then you work for a company that's making software, and it's supposed to be AR. And you wear this headset. And the guy that's running the company is super perverted. And he like turns on the AR that you're looking at women with like bikinis on and swimsuits on. And you're like, oh, this is great. I like where it's dumb. I'm sorry. I just can't. I couldn't get into this game at all. It's this. I don't even know what to say about this game, honestly.
Who put this out?
Well, it was published by PQ, but the game itself is.
So one of those games where the wife walks in and they're like, "What are you playing?" and you have to like jump at the TV to turn it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Who did make this game? Sorry, I'm trying to look up who made this game. As I look that up, I'll just keep talking about it. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't. I really don't even know what to say about the game.
Well,
I mean,
okay.
it's
to be fair.
Red Entertainment.
Red Entertainment.
Yeah.
Do you know where they're based out of?
I think Japan.
Okay, because to be fair, the things you are describing are really, really common in anime. Really common.
To look at high school girls' boobs? Sorry, but what?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Depending on the genre of anime that you're watching, this type of fan service stuff can be really, really prevalent. And, you know, there's the lovable pervert is like an actual archetype of a character in many anime.
Well, there's a lot of them in this.
Yeah, they play it off as a joke. They think it's funny.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's one thing if it was just like happen once, but like every like 5 minutes, he's like, at one point you're comparing these two sisters and their breast size, and you're like looking at their breasts, and your character, and then these girls are like, "Are you looking at my breasts?" And you're like, "Well, yeah." I mean, it's dumb. I just
You said this game's about augmented reality, Roger?
Yeah.
What if this whole opening section is a framing device, an augmented reality framing device, in which the game is making a thematic statement about how we view our reality and how our reality and perception of reality is skewed by the amount of time we spend with technology.
That would be interesting, but that's not what's happening in this game, for sure.
That's deep.
That is deep, Christian. I think you're digging for something, and that's not
You
there.
never know, Roger. Some of these animes have crazy twists at the end.
Okay. Well, okay. That is not happening in this game. I will say there is some commentary about working long hours at a software studio and how it's grueling and very little pay, and that people don't really like appreciate some of the art and the work and effort that goes into making games. Okay, that's nice. But I appreciate that. But I can't call this a game. This is not a game. There's no gameplay. You just read. You sit there and read the whole time. There's no gameplay. None. Zero. And I'm sorry. there's no gameplay. And for $60, I cannot recommend this game. It's super expensive for a visual novel that you just sit there and read.
It really is that bad?
It really is that bad.
Is it really that bad, or is really just you're the wrong audience?
I don't know. I guess I like anime. I mean, I'm not like the biggest anime person in the world, but I do like my anime. I like Slayers, and I like Ranma 1/2, which is, Ranma's on the borderline of like being a little raunchy, I guess. I like that.
But to Roger's point, there's no gameplay elements.
Yeah,
it's just reading, looking at pictures and reading the text.
Yeah,
but I don't play visual novels, so I don't know how deviant it is from what's expected in that genre.
Oh, so I'm playing another visual novel. I was going to talk about this during games I'm playing. I'm playing Valhalla, the cyberpunk bartender one, and that game's good. You're a bartender, and you make drinks for people, and you talk to them, and you start learning about like this world that they live in. It's awesome. It's great, and it's fantastic. And there's gameplay elements, and I like it a lot. And I played Arcade Spirits, which is a visual novel, and there's plenty of like dialogue selection, and I really liked that game. I gave that game an A. This game I'm giving an F. I can't recommend this game even for people that like visual novels, because at least in the visual novels I have played, there is some elements of gameplay, and there's no gameplay whatsoever in this game.
Well, fair enough.
All right, yeah, there you go. You can take a breath now, Roger.
Whew. Now I'll move on to the other game I've been playing, and I want to review, and that is Galak Z: The Void, which is also anime. I think that's based on an anime, I think, but it's really good. I really like it. The voice acting also is very good. So just give you a little background behind this game. So there was, I think a year ago, there was a game called Galak Z that came out on the Switch, but it was a mobile port, and it's a free to play game, and there's some microtransactions in it, and it got a bad rap, I guess, for being a mobile game and having a mobile port and having microtransactions, but the game is actually really good, and I really enjoyed it, and I never spent any money on the game. I mean, there's loot boxes in the game, but you earn enough that you don't have to, if you just grind enough in the game, you earn enough that you can open loot boxes and you don't have to buy loot boxes. And, I actually kind of feel bad that I didn't buy loot boxes, because I played a lot of that game, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then when I heard this game was coming out for the Switch, I was like, ooh, this is awesome. This is a actual pay. You buy this game, so it's not a free-to-play game. And this game was out on the PlayStation, I think, and maybe Steam as well. And now it's coming to the Switch. And, there's a lot more polish to the game. There's voice acting, which is really, really well done. It's awesome. And the game is about this pilot, and he is lost out in space. He's fighting for like this rebellion against this empire, and he's picked up by a group that are like fighting against the empire, and you are sent on missions. And it's really good. The voice acting is really great. It reminds me a lot of, if anybody's like a fan of like Robotech, like it reminds me a little bit of that, like that kind of style. The gameplay is great. So I will say this, it takes a little bit to get used to the ship mechanics. If you play the first one, you'll pick up on this right away, but if you haven't played the first one, the ship mechanics are a little hard. It is, speaking of hard, this game is really, really hard. Really hard. The first one that came out, you're able to grind. You can continue to do the same missions over and over again and level up your character and level up your ships and stuff like that. And this one doesn't really have that mechanic at all. And the AI in this game is way smarter than the other mobile port game. So it's really hard, and they have two modes. There's the mode that it was originally designed for, and when you die, you would start over way from the beginning of that whole chapter, which would suck a lot. Those are for that mode is for people like Christian that like to torture themselves.
Yeah.
They did include the other mode, which will allow you to start over from that specific like scene that you're on, or that certain level that you're on, that you don't have to start all the way over from the chapter, which thank God, because you will die a lot in this game. But it's good. It's a good game. It's hard, but it's a good space fighting game, and it's kind of I don't want to say Diablo, but it's like it's like a top-down space fighter shooting game. So I really like it a lot, and that game I would score an A- because I really like it. Yeah,
nice.
It's really
That's
good.
fantastic. At $15, Roger,
Yeah.
I believe it is. Does it offer like a significant amount of more stuff to make it worth buying instead of just playing the free-to-play one?
So I mean, you have the story. So I think there's 3 acts or 4 acts, chapters or acts to the story, and each chapter has like several different levels in it. So I mean, there's a plenty there, and then like the 2 modes. Like I said, you can play the easier mode or the more hardcore mode. So they don't. So unlike the free to play one, they don't have like the free to play one will have events like every month or so where you can participate in events, and this one doesn't have that. Obviously, this is truly a story based game. But I think the people that were looking for a story based game and not like the mobile version of the game will really like this game. Like this people were asking for this game to come to the Switch, and they were hoping that this was the game. A year and a half ago when they mentioned that Galak Z was coming, people were hoping that it was this game, and they were disappointed it wasn't this game. So I'm glad that they brought this game to the Switch.
Now, as I have another question, as it's coming from a free-to-play origin, basically, and creating something that isn't free-to-play, how is the progression? Do they get the pacing right? Because with like a free-to-play game, you can just spend a bunch of money and then have the best thing for the most part.
Yep.
Is this like does the upgrading your ship have a good pace throughout the course of it, or can it be a slog having to grind all the time?
Yeah, so in this game, unlike the other one where you have to buy like loot boxes and you get different pieces for your ship to upgrade, like this one, you go around and you collect junk, I guess, or like scrap pieces or scrap, I don't know what they call it, but like the money from the game. And then at some part in the game, you will pick up, that's actually pretty early in the game, you pick up this trader who's also in the mobile game too. But so basically he's like a weapons trader. And then you can spend your money that you get in the levels on different weapons before each level. So like you can buy more missiles or better shields or more health to help you in your next mission that you're playing. So, and then as you're flying through each mission, then he has like little like stations in each level that you can buy more like for instance, I buy a lot of missiles because like those seem to be the thing that you use a lot. So you can find his like little crate and like get more missiles from that. And then there's also like drop boxes throughout the game too, where you might find like health that you can use to help you through your game. And so so I feel like the progression was fair, and then you learn different like different maneuvers and stuff like that as you play. And it actually, the very first thing they do is walk you through a tutorial. So when you're found like kind of floating out in space, they like test your ship to see like what's all working on it, right? So like that's your tutorial, which is kind of a cool way of doing it. They're like, okay, now use your thrusters and shoot your weapons, and okay, that seems to be online, and all this stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of a neat way of getting you used to the game, and then as you progress, you start learning new things that you can add onto your ship.
Okay.
So I thought it was fair. Yeah, different though than the mobile game for sure. I mean, the mobile game had a lot more components of you using loot that you get from the game. You can either earn it through buying it with grinding, or you can get different robots and stuff like that in the mobile game, and this one is more level based, where you level up based on the level, or you earn new things based on the level that you're on. So the progression's different. So yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed the game. And it does have an anime feel, like I said.
So the takeaway is get Galak Z, not Our World Has Ended.
Yeah. Well, Galak Z, like Christian said, it's $15. Like that. To be like $15 versus $60, and you have a game where you actually are playing a game versus just sitting there reading for hours. Yeah. Anyway, those are the games I wanted to review. Does anyone else have any other games that they wanted to review this week? I forgot to ask before.
Not as official reviews, no.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing here either.
I played through a game for review that came out this week.
Yes.
I could talk about quickly.
Yeah.
So there's this game. All right. It's called Fade to Silence.
Oh,
no, that's not a bad name.
I already know where this is going.
Came out last week on Sunday. So it came out officially last week, Sunday. This has been in early access on Steam for like a year now. Well, like 2 years now. It's been sitting there gestating, slowly becoming better with patches. And just like everything else on Steam Early Access, it is a survival game. So prepare to collect wood. Prepare to craft things. Make sure you're fed. Make sure you're warm. Because this is a winter survival game. So original.
Sounds like Don't Starve.
Don't Starve isn't always in the winter, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay. Yeah. And Don't Starve is like a top-down perspective, and that's got this nice Tim Burton feel, and Fade to Silence doesn't have any of that. So Fade to Silence came out in 1.0. It came out on consoles as well, and I played it on PS4, and it still feels like it's in early access. Very janky. The menus don't move around very nicely. They're very like clunky to navigate. That's not good. Frame rate drops everywhere. The dialogue cuts in and out very poorly. It sounds very slapdash, very cobbled together. Not good. There's a story. The voice acting is hilarious too. I gotta say, hilariously bad. I love it. So,
they didn't mean it to be bad, right? They meant it to be good, right?
I think so. That's why this game is a tonal mess, and it's beautiful because of that. It's a beautiful mess. So you start out and you're this guy in this cave, and then you wake up, and there's this like weird, like shadowy black creature that wakes you up, and his voice acting is excellent. Like he taunts you. He's like, "What are you doing alive? You're dead again. Time for you to come back alive and inevitably die." And he taunts you alive. You're back alive. You get out of your cave, and immediately you meet your daughter, and she's just so happy. She's just chipper after you just slay these disgusting looking beasts. She skips up to you and she's like, "Hey, father, I'm glad you're back." Oh. And you're like, "It's good to see you, daughter."
Wait, what? Wait, sounds like they had different accents. I mean, was that true?
Oh yeah, there's accents in this game. They're all bad.
But doesn't sound consistent.
Maybe those are wrong. I'm probably projecting these accents.
I love that Roger is always like really, really focused on consistency.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even in games that are admittedly, or movies that are dumpster fires, and there's not going to be consistency, and he's still like, "Yeah, but what about this?"
That's the history major in me. I expect consistency.
Yeah. Well, from a story perspective and tone perspective, this game is not consistent. Oh. Not at all. There's the setting's kind of cool. It's just like snowed out Earth, but it's like an apocalyptic Earth. And there's like cool stuff going on. Like the monsters look kind of cool. They're all like black and spiny and spindly, and they stand out really well against the white background because they've got these red glowing bits. It looks cool. And then there's like these cool floating spheres that are just kind of like hover above the landscape, and then they drop junk beneath them. And that's like a cool idea. Like these floating masses in the sky. It's like, yeah, that's awesome. But when you play the game, oh boy, none of that's awesome. Because you run underneath these giant spheres and they drop junk. And sometimes the junk are giant cars that just fall out of the sky and hit you in the head when you're sitting there trying to craft stuff in the crafting menu because the menus are cumbersome. And
that doesn't sound fun at all.
No, it's not. I mean, you're chopping down trees, you're progressing, so you've got this base that you can build structures in. But the problem is this game is so slow. It is not fast enough to feel satisfying to go through the motions and craft the stuff. Because there are plenty of survival games, and they all scratch a similar itch in a good way. Like certain ones, they pick and choose what they want to do really well, but for the most part, they get that crafting, that satisfying progression curve down, where you slowly become more powerful, you can get further away from your base, you can find new resources, since you can get further away, and then you're also obliterating the enemies that you encountered early on. And this game doesn't nail it. It is so slow. You can only craft certain items, and then you got to build a building to craft the rest of the items. And after you do that, you've got to wait for one of your followers to craft the item for you. And you have to find all the resources on top of it. And it's, so slow. It's not good. Wouldn't recommend it. I played it for like 12 hours. And I was like, all right, I'm doing good. I'm finally progressing. I get to like the next progression level area stuff where I can start crafting the level 2 stuff, which is the exact same as the level 1 stuff, only it does more damage. And so I can actually fight the enemies that are in the area. And then it just slows to a crawl because collecting everything gets even slower. Not good. Don't do that. And then I die. And this game has permadeath. So once you die, back to the beginning. So I died. You do have lives. So you have like 3 lives. But once you get rid of those 3 lives, it's all over. So I died after like 12, 14 hours. Had to start all over. Spent another 32 getting to the end. And I regretted all of it. Story was not worth it. Gameplay was not worth it. It was an absolute slog. You can completely forget that this survival game exists. You can forget that I spent the past 10 minutes talking about it. Because it's not good.
What was your final grade on it then?
It was like a 41. There were some redeeming qualities to it. Like the structure was nice. It was very like explicitly structured in a way that survival games frequently aren't. So like in a survival game, it's usually just plop you down and then go do whatever you want. And this one, there's like strongholds that you have to liberate, but in order to liberate them, you just walk over to this red fleshy thing and tap X a bunch, and then go to the next one and tap X a bunch. And it was slow, it was uninteresting because of it. So yeah, 41, not good. You can forget about it.
And that was on PlayStation 4?
Yeah, it's out on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC. You know, go nuts. Go ahead and buy it. I think it's like $50.
You just told people to forget it exists.
Yeah, I mean, if you're morbidly curious, if you want to play a bad survival game, Fade to Silence was made for you.
Wow. So you can buy a bad visual novel game for $60 and a bad survival game for $50, or you can buy a good space shooting game for $15.
Oh.
That's the choice is yours, listeners. Yeah. The choice is yours. Okay, cool. Well then let's go on to the games that we're all currently playing. So, let's see. Mike, do you want to start us off? What games are you currently playing?
So now that Endgame is over and I could go back into the real world without getting spoiled by anything.
Yeah.
I went back and I'm back into Spider-Man on the PS4. I continued because I've been streaming the story.
Yeah.
And so I'm not too far into the story, but I did unlock the next set of side missions.
Okay.
So I'm going to go through those right now.
Wait, where are you at in the story right now? Can you tell me?
In the story, where am I? I just beat Shocker.
Okay.
At the bank.
Okay. Yeah. That's a cool battle.
That was a cool battle. So I did that, and now I'm going to do the research side missions and the Black Cat side missions.
So I will say this. I don't know, Christian, maybe you'll disagree with me, but I felt like the research side missions were not fun.
I didn't have any fun with them. I'm not having fun with them. I got to swing through clouds of gas. Okay.
Yeah, that one's not bad. It's the other ones where it's like you have to swing between like the what was that? The cell tower stuff. Do you know what I'm talking about, Christian?
Yeah. And they repeat them sometimes too, which is like ridiculous. Feel like filler and fluff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody on the stream said, "Hey, it's like playing Superman 64."
Yep. Yeah.
So,
yeah,
but
that was the weakest part of the game, I felt.
Okay. So I'm playing that. Also, last night I played a few rounds of Friday the 13th on the PS4.
Nice.
So had some fun with that. I still enjoyed. There's still a lot of people playing that game. So
that's good to hear.
Especially considering it's a game almost not solely built around multiplayer.
Yeah.
So I had some fun with that. I enjoyed playing that. What else? Played some more Super Blood Hockey on the Switch.
Yeah.
Continuing my season.
I picked that game up, by the way, Mike.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
And then I got into some more Yoshi's Crafted World.
Yeah.
And still not really far. I've only collected one, Infinity Stone so far. But other than that, I'm again, it's just such a cute, relaxing, fun game. And then I played a game called Glaive Brick Breaker on the Switch. I fell victim to another one of those. Oh, it's on sale for 99 cents.
Oh boy.
But you know what? It's for 99 cents. This is a fun game. It's like a natural evolution or spin-off or rip-off, whatever you want to call it, of Arkanoid.
Oh, okay.
Or Breakout, however you wanted to prefer it. It's basically where you control the paddle at the bottom of the screen, and the ball bounces up and down, and you have to break all the bricks to get to the next level. And there's power-ups, all that other good stuff. There's a level editor that you can make your own stages. There's the one thing I will say about this, the soundtrack is awesome. I really enjoy the music. It's poppy, it's wubby, it's techno-y. Yeah. It's just an enjoyable soundtrack. For 99 cents, I would definitely recommend it.
Wow.
It's on sale. Nice. I don't know what the regular price is, but yeah, for 99 cents, I wouldn't pay any more than 99 cents. So
I'll wait until it gets to 19 cents and then I'll buy it.
Yeah, it'll probably get there eventually. And then I don't know. I think. Oh yeah. No, so I was rooting around cleaning out my my nightstand, and I found a game that I thought I had either sold or got rid of, and I was so excited to find it. And I played it a lot because this game got me through a very, very difficult time in my life. And that's not even a joke. I know I normally joke about weird things like that, but no, this is a very difficult time in my life. But this game was kind of my escape from that. So I found Activision Anthology for the Game Boy Advance, which is a collection of all of the really good Activision games for the Atari 2600. So it's got Pitfall, Keystone Capers, Barnstorming, Freeway, a whole bunch of other games, a ton of games. And it gives like a history on each game. It shows you could actually earn the patches that you could, back in the day, you could send out a letter with a screenshot to Activision and they would mail you a patch.
Yeah.
So you can unlock like an image of the patch. But I was really happy to see this game, that I still had it, so I played that a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah. I had that on PS2. If you like Atari 2600 games, specifically Activision ones, you're going to enjoy Infinite Warfare, Mike, because if you play the Nazi Zombies mode, there's an arcade, and the arcade has all the classics. Well, a bunch of the classics. You got Barnyard and Pitfall and other Activision Atari 2600 game here. It's great.
Can you play them, or are they just there for
show? Yeah, they're playable. Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they did that in Call of Duty World War II also. Playable 2600 games. Wow. Really nice little touch.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
Cool.
So that's what I played.
Nice. What about you, Blue? What have you been playing?
So I never had a Sega Genesis growing up, as I think we've probably talked before.
Yeah.
So this week I finally got a chance to try Castlevania Bloodlines.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very fun. The controls are really stiff, though.
Yeah.
And the whole thing of where you can't do a standing jump.
Yeah.
That is making me a little bit crazy. It's kind of important in a platformer to be able to make a standing jump, but no, we can't do that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So, of the two characters, I picked the one that has the whip weapon because, come on, it's Castlevania.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I wish that the whip was just a little bit. It seems perpetually just to be like 2 inches short of what I actually need.
Oh, that's great.
So, I'm not going to say it's my favorite Castlevania, but I think, I just love Castlevania games. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna like it pretty much no matter what.
So a lot of people say that between that and Super Castlevania, like, this is a better of the two. What do you have? You played Super Castlevania, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you like? Which one do you like more?
Super Castlevania.
Yeah, me too. Okay. Agreed.
Weird. People say Bloodlines is better?
That's what I've heard.
Who says that?
That's what I've heard.
Probably
I've heard
the people
say this.
who sided with the Genesis and the 90s console wars.
Probably. Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know. This is what I heard, Christian. But you're right. There's probably the Genesis people that were saying that Bloodlines is better than Super Castlevania.
Probably.
Oh, maybe it's just the weird forums that said that.
Or, yeah. I don't know. The same type of people who would defend this Sonic movie.
Yes, exactly.
They just want to argue just to argue.
Yeah, exactly.
So I played that, and then the other game that I played most of all week and that I'm kind of obsessed with, and I think I might need an intervention, is Cook Serve Delicious 2.
Yeah, what is this game?
So the first Cook Serve Delicious was a mobile game, and I think it's like $2 or $3. And then I ran my phone battery into the ground playing this game so much on my phone. And it's just basically where you start your own restaurant from like this crappy, like, I don't know, just totally run down space, and it's full of rats and everything. But you start at the bottom. And the gameplay is where people come in and order food, and then you have to follow the printed recipes on the bottom of the screen. So you add the ingredients that it says, and then you do the cooking method if you're baking it or frying it or whatever, and then you serve it. And then you have to do all of that before the customer gets impatient and leaves. And then you also get a score based on if you did it with 100% accuracy or not. Like if you missed an ingredient or something, you get graded down. So,
no. I was interrupting. Go ahead.
Oh no, what's your question?
My question. So speaking of running cell phones into the ground, I did that with Cake Mania.
Oh, I love Cake Mania. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I was like these type of time management games. Like these were my jam. Like I don't know, like 8-10 years ago when Cake Mania was like really big.
Mm-hmm.
Is it similar to Cake Mania in terms of gameplay?
I mean, it's that kind of feel, but Cook Serve Delicious takes it to like this whole other level because you're upgrading your restaurant, and then the number of you unlock new recipes, and it's pretty funny because at the beginning your clientele, they're just like they're dirty and they're in wife beaters and they got cigarettes and whatever. And then as you upgrade your restaurant, your clientele starts wearing nicer clothes and everything. Eventually, like at the end, they'll come in like fur coats and everything, diamond necklaces. Wow. So that's the first game. The sequel is out on, I know it's on PC, and I've been playing it on Switch. It's the first game that I've actually taken my Switch out and played it in handheld mode.
Wow.
Because it's great. It's like a bigger phone screen. It's so awesome. It's like this is what it was made for. And then I know it's also on PS4, which you would play with the button input, and I don't have any idea how you would do that. It boggles my mind how you could possibly play it.
So this is touchscreen then?
Yes.
Okay.
So in this one, you're building your own restaurant, but then you're also going and doing shifts in all these other types of restaurants. And you can go through and you can play the levels, and then you get awarded medals per level. And to get the gold medal in each level, you have to do 100% accuracy, no bad orders, no angry customers. And it is so absurdly difficult. It's like impossible. It's so hard.
Can you go back and like upgrade your stuff so that it's easier?
You can in your own restaurant. That's what makes it difficult. Is you can control, like in your own restaurant, you can control your menu so that you don't have two complicated things on the menu. You can have one complicated thing and a couple of simple things, and that's how you can manage the crowd flow. But in the other restaurants, you can't upgrade their equipment. You can't change their menus. And so, like, right now I'm in the Chinese restaurant, And everybody who comes in has a customized order of, I want stir fry with this type of meat and this type of vegetable and this type of sauce. And then you stir fry it, and then you finish it off with another sauce. And it's like so complicated and so many choices, and I can't do it.
Weird.
Wow.
Are they mandatory levels? Do you have to do these levels in other restaurants before moving on?
I don't know that you have to, but
Okay.
I am because
Yeah.
they're there.
Are they? It sounds like they might be challenge levels. Do they just render all your progression and upgrades obsolete?
No, in the game, you're actually working at these other restaurants to get money to put into your own restaurant.
Oh.
And I can see where, like, I wasn't doing them at first. I was focusing on my own restaurant, and then pretty quickly I got to the point where I was like, no, I need some better stuff in here. Because, like, I think that it's the sequel, Cook Serve Delicious 2, seems to be made specifically for those people who want, like, their fingers on fire, basically, trying to keep up with the demands of the game. It seems specifically for those people who want, like, that elite challenge. Because it pretty quickly gets, the difficulty is just ridiculous.
So you would recommend the first one over the second one?
Not necessarily. I think if you haven't played, you will probably like the first one better.
Okay.
On the mobile game on the phone. But I don't know. This one, like, I can't. It's impossible, and yet I can't put it down. So.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That's what I've been playing.
So, and how expensive is this game, though?
It was like $12.
Okay. No, the reason I asked that because, like, my wife likes those kind of games too, so I'm wondering, like, should I pick this game up for my wife and add it to her Switch? Because it sounds like right up to her alley, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like if she liked games like Cake Mania and Diner Dash and what was the burger one that was like Burger Island, all those kind of time management games. This is like the culmination of like every challenge like put into this one.
Yeah.
Cook Serve Delicious 2 is $12.99 on the eShop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, it's funny because she used to play Diner Dash a lot, and at the time she was working as a waitress, and she was like, "Why am I even playing this game? I do this in real life." But it was fun. She likes that game a lot. So yeah, maybe I'll consider getting that for her. Cool. Anything else?
Nope. Just mainly that one, but also Castlevania.
Nice. What about you, Christian?
Well, I haven't been playing through as much as I'd like to. I got
like 4 or 5 games this week then?
Yeah, only
like
7.
1 or 2, unfortunately,
okay.
other than Fade to Silence.
Okay.
So I got an HDR TV after my very impassioned defense of HDR over 4K a couple weeks ago, because I don't care about a lot of things, but apparently one of the things I care about for some reason is television resolution. God help me. But I got an HDR TV, ran it through its paces, popped in a few games. It is beautiful. I can absolutely confirm what I said initially. HDR over 4K any day, every day, please. Yes, make that a standard. Okay. So, played some HDR stuff. I've been playing some more Cuphead. After I went through and finished it that second time on Switch, I didn't realize that you get a hard version of every boss that opens up after you finish it a first time. So I've been going through and doing the hard versions. Oh, great. It is so good. Love the hard bosses. I finished the first area. There's 3 areas and then a finale. I finished the hard version of all the first area bosses, so I'm doing the second and third. So mind-numbingly tough, and I love it. It makes me hate the Joy-Cons even more, but...
Yeah, okay, so not to digress, but I was listening last week, and I was like, Christian, you play 1,000 games. Invest in a Pro Controller. Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that I don't play a ton on my Switch, and usually the things I do play on my Switch, I don't need, these very specific, precise inputs, and, the GameCube controller has got me through what I've needed to get through so far, but I might have to. But it's like $60. I can buy a brand new game for that.
I know,
so you can buy Our World Has Ended for $60.
Exactly.
I can verify that they are so worth it. I freaking hate Joy-Cons. I wouldn't play anything if I was stuck with those.
Yeah. I don't blame you, Blue. It's tough. Well, also the thing is if I do get a Pro Controller, I play my Switch like 98% portably, so I would have to kind of prop it up. if I played with the Pro Controller also. But yeah, maybe it's going to happen. I mean, Cuphead is the only game I've run into up to this point that I've been like, I really need this Pro Controller. Because, I mean, I made it through all the Breath of the Wild shrines fine, all the Super Mario Odyssey moons fine, but this Cuphead is doing it for me. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. But I did play through beginning to end of Kingdom Hearts Recoded on the DS. Oh, this one's interesting. Have you played this one at all, Blue?
Recoded?
Yes.
Not much.
I gotcha. Recoded was the only one I haven't finished, like the only main standalone game I hadn't finished in the Kingdom Hearts.
It's the weird one.
It is in a franchise that has a lot of weird games.
Yeah,
this is also the weird one.
It's a standout in a weird franchise.
Yeah. So what Kingdom Hearts Recoded is it takes place after Kingdom Hearts 2, and it initially came out in Japan only as an episodic cell phone game. And what the Kingdom Hearts franchise does is they take a game that came out on a different platform, they remake it for a new platform, and then they put the little RE before it for re. So they did that with Chain of Memories when they brought it from the Game Boy Advance over to the PS2. And they did that also with Coded for some reason. I don't know why they brought it off of cell phones. Don't ask me, because this game is largely pointless, and it is maybe the only standalone Kingdom Hearts entry I would recommend against playing. Because not only is the gameplay, like the gameplay is the most interesting thing about it, and it's like mildly amusing at best, the story is completely inconsequential to nearly everything. It is like just not good, not interesting, not substantial, not substantive, because the game takes place inside Jiminy's journal that is digitized inside of a computer, and you are playing as Sora, but not the main version of Sora. You were playing as a data Sora that basically has no ramifications on any of the rest of the Kingdom Hearts plot. So you can just skip this in its entirety, despite the fact that the cutscenes for Recoded are available on the 2.5 or 1.5, 2.5 collection. So you can watch through the cutscenes, but even then it's awful because so much of it is just Disney World retread. You're playing through the same Disney Worlds as you did in Kingdom Hearts 1, which are also the same Disney Worlds you played through in Rechain of Memories, which are a lot of the same Disney Worlds you played through in Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2. So if you played up to until that point, get ready for a lot more repeat. And they throw a lot of these weird gimmicks at you, which is what Blue's getting at, is in that Recoded is weird. So when you're playing through, every like new Disney World has a new gimmick. So it'll go from like an endless runner to like a turn-based RPG to like a side-scrolling slash 'em up. And it's interesting, but it's variety syndrome because none of these little throwaway sections are good enough to make them remain interesting throughout. And some of them are outright grating to have to put up with. So you can ignore Kingdom Hearts Rechain of Memories, Roger, when you're playing through the 1.5 plus 2.5 HD Remix collection.
Oh,
so
Rechain of Memories, not Recoded, huh?
I'm sorry, Recoded. Rechain of Memories, you probably should play it. I know you're probably not going to, Roger, but you probably should.
Okay, one day I will. But so wait, is it on? Is it on the story so far? Is that on?
So as part of the story so far, they took a few of the games and ported them whole cloth onto the story so far, and then there are a couple other games that they just put the cutscenes on.
Okay.
So those are the 2DS games that they just put the cutscenes on, one of them being 358 Days Over 2. They just put the cutscenes onto the collection, and then Recoded, they just put the cutscenes on the disc. So you can get all the story material, but even the story material isn't very... there isn't much going on there.
This game is not cheap either, because I saw it at GameStop, and I think it's like $30, actually.
Really? Jeez.
Yeah.
I got mine like for $8 on eBay or something, but it was just a loose cart. So.
Well, this was just a loose cart, too.
Oh, interesting.
I know. I almost picked it up because I was like, oh, Kingdom Hearts, but glad I didn't, actually.
That's the GameStop markup.
Yeah. Yeah. So, cool. So that was your second time playing through that? Did you say?
No, first time.
Oh,
I watched through the
okay.
cutscenes, so it was like my second time through the story.
I see.
Even less interesting the second time. It's just mindless drivel in a franchise that's full of very interesting and pivotal and cathartic moments. There were next to none of those in Recoded. I'm sorry, Recoded.
Oh.
But yeah, that's all I've been playing.
Okay. For myself, let's see, what have I been playing? So besides the games that I mentioned, I also have been playing some more of the the Steam World Quest, and that's really good. I really like that game a lot. I think this is just such a cool concept with the RPG and card game like mixed. I love it. It's awesome. It's so good. So really enjoying that a lot. And then the other game that I just started last night, I just picked it up yesterday, and that is Cyberpunk Bartender Action Valhalla. And that is a visual novel, but you are a bartender and you have to mix drinks for your clientele that come in, and the story is interesting and it's gritty and it's dark, and it's I don't know, the words I would think of is Christian saying it's gross, and it's just, slimy people, and you work in this bar and you are serving them, and your character is an interesting character, and she's sarcastic, and she's witty, and she doesn't deserve to be working at this crap hole bar, but she is, and it's just the hour that I played so far, I really enjoyed it. So, but like I said, there's you're mixing drinks. It's not complicated, but it's interesting. Like you have this guy come in, he's like, I want a beer, and then, so in the future they don't really have beers. You have to mix like this mix to make it drink to make it taste like a beer, and then you serve it to them, and then based on how you mix it, it could be like you make it wrong, and you're like, oh crap, I start all over. But so that's like the gameplay part, but then there's just a lot of more like story mode to it, and you're reading through, and you're conversing with these clientele, and it's cool, it's awesome, I like it a lot, and that's a good visual novel because I'm doing something.
You're not staring at body parts all day.
Yeah, I'm not staring at body parts, right? I mean, like I said, I mean it's a gritty game. It's not, like I said, I'm not a prude, because like in this game too, like this guy comes in and he was like, if I give you $20, you're gonna come back to the hotel with me, and you're like, no, and he's like, well, then you're worthless to me. I'm like, wow, that guy's a jerk. But so I don't know. It's a gritty game, but it's interesting. The story's interesting too. So
is there a narrative through line to it all? Is there kind of like a thrust to the narrative, or is it just watching people come in and talking to them and learning about the world and them for a bit?
No, there is some story to it. I'm not very far, so I can't really say like what the overall arch of the story is yet. But there is some aspect of a story with it. I can't really say completely what it is yet, but I can tell that there is something building up. So
okay. I did have another question. Yeah. I saw that this game was getting like rave reviews as far as critical reception was concerned. I mean, there weren't a lot of reviews out there, but the ones that were out there were very positive.
Yeah.
And then I looked at it and I saw that it was a visual novel that looks very anime.
Yeah.
Is there enough here, or is this game doing things in an interesting enough fashion to make it appealing to someone who isn't necessarily into visual novels or into that very anime art style and kind of way of doing things?
Well, so I mean, it is anime, but it reminds me a lot of like it reminds me a lot of like a cyberpunk, like Blade Runner, like that kind of world, right? So if you like sci-fi like that, and you like that kind of gritty storyline, and just I don't know, I think there is enough there, and the fact that you're this bartender and you're like, you have this clientele come in and they pretty much tell you anything, and apparently you can get people drunk and they'll tell you other things, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, I'm not 100% sure on that, but when you're training, your person's telling you how to make drinks. They're like, you can add more alcohol to these drinks, but only use those on special occasions, like because you never know what's going to be said or something like that. And you're like, I wonder what that means. But yeah, like my last client that I was playing it late last night and I had to stop, but he was just being a complete jerk, and I'm like, oh really? So I just like poured tons of alcohol into it.
Yeah, that's my solution to things too.
But yeah, I mean, the character is interesting, and the story is interesting, and it's like the story so far, like it's just like a very gritty and like interesting world that they place this character in.
It's like a Blade Runner type world.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So so it's not that I'm against visual novels, because I mean, like I said, I liked Arcade Spirits a lot. I really liked that game a lot, and I'm enjoying this game. But there has to be something to a game, some kind of mechanic, or even choose your own adventure type aspect, which Arcade Spirits kind of had. This, that's what I'm looking for in a visual novel, and if I'm going to play it, I just don't want to sit there and read for hours and hours and hours, because it's not just. I'll just pick up a book and do that.
Yeah.
So
I wish the name was better. It's like, it looks like a mess. It's like VA-11 space HALL-A Cyberpunk Bartender Action.
I think that's supposed to be the the aspect of the the cyberpunk, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's supposed to be the feel it's supposed to give it. So but yeah, it's interesting, and I mean, you're playing. I mean, like I said, I've only played an hour so far, so I can't really speak too much to it, because I've been enjoying the hour that I played so far, and just even mixing drinks is kind of fun. You're like, oh, cool, I have to mix this drink. I don't know why. And then I'm like, can I really mix drinks like this in real life? I don't think so, but no, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know if they're real ingredients. I don't know enough about mixing drinks to know if this is real ingredients or not, but maybe. I don't know. But it's fun. It's good. It's a good game, and I think that might be all I have been playing. Yeah, I didn't get to play a whole lot this week. Outside of the games that I was reviewing, I didn't get to play a whole lot. So, with that, then let's do this. Let's take a break, and we're gonna then come back. We're gonna get into our hot topic, and our hot topic actually has to do with game reviews. And we'll be talking about, is a score of 7 out of 10 really a bad score? Why do people start thinking that? And because Days Gone got a 7 out of 10 on Metacritic, and man, you would think that people thought that was like a 2 out of 10. So we'll talk about that, where that mentality comes from, and talk more about scoring games. So stay tuned for that. And welcome back to GamerHeads. This week, as I said, we'll be talking about review scores, specifically around Days Gone, and the fact that the game got a 7 out of 10. And our friend, Robert Ramsey from Push Square, wrote an article about it saying, people think that 7 out of 10 is bad. And where did we get this mentality that 7 out of 10 is bad? People are saying, I'll wait for that game to go on sale. I'm not going to buy that. And his argument saying 7 out of 10 isn't bad. It means it's a good game. It's not great, but it's better than average. 5 out of 10 is average. So where do we get this mentality that 7 out of 10 is bad? I want to talk about that. How do we get to this point? How do we get to the point where people think 7 out of 10 is a bad score?
I think there's a lot of things that play into it. I think that, there's so much, man, where do I start? I think there's so many games out right now and so little time to play all of said games that a lot of people only want to spend their time with the best of the best. So I think that kind of fed into that mentality where if it's not a 9 or a 10, it's not worth my time.
Yeah.
And I'll agree with you. Like, somebody says, oh, 7's terrible. No, that's absolutely not true. There's games that have been scored 5s and 6s that I thought were perfectly enjoyable. There's games that were 9s and 10s that I'm like, okay, I'm done with this game. I don't need to play this. I think in terms of time management, people only want to play the games that will give them the biggest bang for their buck.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and this didn't always used to be like this.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be score 5s, well, maybe not 5s, but 6s and 7s were considered good games. They were considered, hey, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with this game. It's still enjoyable to play. But I think that in terms of just society itself, if something isn't perfect, it's just the worst thing ever. Like, so like people are kind of conditioned now to feel that everything has to be the most amazing thing ever. Otherwise, it's the worst thing ever. Like, I don't know. That's kind of how I look at society. I hate the world.
Wow.
Now you should say something about the everybody gets a trophy generation.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, PlayStation 4 has trophies. I don't need to get a trophy for beating the first level.
Oh, what? I do. No, I think you're right though. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with people wanting to spend. There's so many games out there. Maybe that's part of it. Is maybe there's so many games out there that if you see something that scores a 7 out of 10, you're like, well, I have plenty 8, 9s, and 10s that I need to play before that, so I'm gonna wait for that game to go on sale. Maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, well, I say I'm gonna wait for a game to go on sale only because I'm a cheap ass.
Yeah.
And I'll wait for any game to go on sale.
Yeah.
That's why. What didn't I pick up? If there was one game that I'm waiting. Resident Evil 2. I'm waiting for Resident Evil 2 because it's gonna go on sale. It's been on sale already, but I can wait. I can wait. It'll go cheaper. I know it will.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Blue? What do you think? How did people get to the point where they feel like 7 out of 10 is a bad score? And I guess in your opinion, some people are saying that they're going to wait 4 days gone to go on sale because it's a 7 out of 10. Is there a score for you that you would wait for it to go on sale because it scored a certain value before you buy it?
Well, I know I can't give credit to whoever started this discussion, and so that's kind of annoying me in my own head. But I was part of a discussion on Twitter a while ago about how it was comparing game review scores from 20 years ago and 10 years ago and then today, and seeing that there's mathematically you can see there's been this enormous creep upwards of the scores, and whereas a game that used to maybe get a 4 will now get a 6, and then games that used to get 7s are now getting 9s, that kind of stuff. And we were talking about how some of it probably has to do with the pressure of the big review outlets trying to please the big studios. And so whereas if you used to get an 8, that used to be a great score, but now it's not good enough. 8s aren't good enough anymore. You need 9s, you need 10s. And so they were supposing that a lot of it had to do with the pressures of the relationships and the complications, as we've discussed before, about the relationships between the review outlets and the big studios. But whether or not you think that's really the reason, I think you can agree that the numbers are just skewed in people's minds. And now, whereas a 7 should be a pretty solid game, now there's just this bad association. I think that's why I'm so happy that with our site we give letter grades. Yeah. Because there's no bad associations there. Mm-hmm. It can more accurately reflect what we really think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. What do you think, Christian?
Yeah, I agree with Blue a lot that it's kind of been the public perception that's begun to skew over what a score means. And I think a lot of the problems with Metacritic is that the same score doesn't mean the same thing for every site, nor does it mean the same thing for every review writer. When you're going on these websites where there's 12 different authors, you don't have that one-to-one, comparison point between scores. Like, for example, a game I reviewed on Push Square, I gave like a 6 or something. They're like, oh, so Drawn to Death is better. And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't played Drawn to Death. I can't tell you that. But I mean, because it's on this review website and it's got a score on it, they're going to compare it against every one of those reviews in that catalog and try and say what it's better than, what it's worse than, and then structure their, game playing time around that. And I don't think that's good. And I think that's probably also a side effect of kind of this weird review aggregation that we've become subject to, with like Days Gone coming out at a 72 on Metacritic right now, where it's just like all these numbers get plugged in, they get jumbled up, and then poof, it spits out this number. And with it being 72, I guess people are like, oh, that's too low. I can't have that. Because of this review inflation. And that's not something that all websites are victim to. But, I mean, it's the number they see on Metacritic, which is frustrating. And, yeah, I think there's a lot of public perception that if a game gets a 7, it's not very good for some reason. I don't know why that is exactly, but that seems to be, the common line of thinking, regardless of what the content of the review is. And, I mean, that's something I saw recently, like with my review of Katana Zero, 73. Really, I enjoyed it. It got a recommendation for me, like a 7 or above. Absolutely recommend it. And then when I started talking about it, Roger was like, are you sure you like it? Because it's a 73. And I'm like, yeah, I liked it. It was a 73, man. It's darn good.
Yeah, it's difficult because we're trying to assign concrete values to something that is inherently subjective. And then people are taking those as life and death.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's where the value, and so this is the one thing that I think it was Patrick Hickey Jr. said this to us, that because I made a comment how originally we didn't have any scores on our reviews, and he said, well, nobody's gonna ever read your reviews then, and it's probably true.
Patrick.
What?
Thanks, Patrick.
But it's probably true because, the first thing that people do is scroll down to see what the score is, right? And that was his point, that they'll scroll down to see the score, and that's all they really read. They'll read the score, and they won't actually read the review. And I think a lot of times, I think that's kind of the whole gist of the whole thing here, is that like a 7 out of 10 isn't a bad score. I mean, there are things that you can't obviously you can't score everything 8, 9s, or 10s. Because then what's the point of having a 10 if everything's a 10, right? So, I mean, there are things that go into the review and that we weigh, right? To say this is why we're giving this letter grade or whatever, but other reviewers too. And that's why they come up with a score. It's not, I don't think there's any science to it. It's just, it's like, this is, it's based on our own judgments.
But then also I think, Metacritic is not helping. Yeah. Because,
agreed.
they have those colored backgrounds to their scores.
Yep.
Yes.
And a 72 gets a yellow.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so it's that subtext of it. Like, caution, look out.
Yeah.
We are threat level yellow here.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, well, and even, in fact, not only the yellow, but then it also says, like, I think it calls it, like, mediocre reviews or something like that, or I forget what the title that they use for any of those yellow, the yellow scores that they do have. Mm-hmm. They call them like average reviews or something like that, and it's like, well, but 7 out of 10 isn't average. Like, that's better than average. I don't.
We can also blame the American schooling system. Okay? Why don't we go there? Because if you get a 50% on a test, that should be average mathematically, but you're gonna fail it. And if you get a 70%, you're getting a C.
That's true.
So we've been conditioned from earliest, of kindergarten and first grade.
That's true.
A 70 is mediocre and a 5 is a failure.
Yep, that's true.
I think GamePro had it right, where there was no score. It was just various stages of a person freaking out. The old magazine that started, like, if it got a 1, the guy was snoring, and then if it was like a 10, the guy, it was red and the guy's hair was all spiky and he was freaking out. Just, the old magazine, look it up.
The yellow means mixed. So there's positive, mixed, and negative. That's what the different categories are.
Well, that's a lot of things are like that nowadays too. Like, if you work in an industry where it's about customer satisfaction, the way they look at it, a 9 or a 10, like in terms of customer surveys, if you're not getting a perfect customer survey, you're considered not giving that customer that quality service.
Weird.
That's stupid.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah.
And And I mean, even like, so I do submit like scores, user scores, on Metacritic, and then they'll show you like, here are all the games that you scored, and they'll give you like what your average score is, what your high scores are, what your low scores are, and I'm like, I don't know if I really care about that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, my average score is 7.2. Great. Like, I don't really care. What I care about is the fact that, you know, that I don't know if I need to know what my aggregate score is either. Like, what does that tell me? I don't know what that even tells me. Does it tell me anything? I don't know.
No, it doesn't tell you anything, but actually Hydra is working on your profile.
Oh, okay. Well,
so they're using that information.
Okay. Okay.
Hail Hydra.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is kind of weird, and I think Blue, you're onto something too with the whole, you know, school taught us that a 7 out of 10 is not a good, you know, 70 out of 100 is not a good score.
Forget everything you learn in school, kids.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Done.
For many reasons, but also this one.
Yeah. My last question that I had here in this is there a score that you look at and you'd say, I will never buy that game because of that score? Like, is there a score that you'd say, nope, I'm going to pass it because it got a score out of 2 or a score out of 3? Is there a cutoff for anyone on our panel here?
I'd say anything 6 or below, maybe
Okay.
5.5 or below. But then again, there's some games that are just so
but
ridiculous.
5 is average. 6 is even above average.
I've been conditioned by the American education system.
See?
Don't blame me. Blame Mr. Nepper, my 8th grade teacher.
Yeah.
There was one game. Was it one game considered one of the worst of all time? Like Ride or Die or something like that on the original Xbox. I think so. It was just so awful. But something like that like makes me interested in trying it out just for sheer laughs.
Totally.
We used to do a game. We used to do a segment on the podcast a long time ago called Trash Bin Games, and that was one of the Trash Bin games.
Oh yeah.
And that game is really bad. It is really bad. It is really bad. What about you, Christian? Is there a cutoff for you?
I feel like not really, but it would depend. If there's like a common consensus on something, like if something has like a 20 or below or a 30 or below on Metacritic with like 50 plus reviews, I guess that would be the threshold where I would be like, oh, probably I won't like that. But even then, I feel like we as a people place too much, you know, cachet into review scores. Like, for example, Sekiro sitting right now at a pretty 90 on Metacritic, which is 18 points better than Days Gone, but I still think there are vast swaths of people that would enjoy Days Gone and its third-person shooting way more than Sekiro's punishing hand-to-hand or melee combat.
Yeah.
So, and like Red Dead Redemption 2, one of the best reviewed games of last year, I didn't like a lot about it. And so, you know, I can't really trust review scores, man, because the scores mean so little in the grand, great context of very carefully thought out and structured reviews.
Blue, if a studio came out, if it was a AAA studio and their score was a 7 out of 10, and let's say a small studio came out with a game and they got a score of 7 out of 10, does that make a difference for you at all?
Not really, except for the small studio game is likely to be cheaper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think price has anything to do with the score and also if your willingness to buy it? I mean, obviously, but I'm just saying like,
I mean,
you know.
I think so. If a game is sitting at 7 to 10 and they want $60 for it, you know, I'm just not sure. But if an indie game's sitting at 7 out of 10 and they want 15 for it, I'm like, heck yeah. You know, why not?
Yeah.
But it's pretty funny because when you hear people talk about, at least on Twitter, you hear people talk about game reviews, and as soon as the game reviewer says something that people don't agree with, they're like, well, that's why you can't trust game reviewers. I never listen to their scores because they don't know what they're talking about. Only I know what I like, blah, blah, blah. But then when a game reviewer says something that they agree with, then either they don't say anything or they're like, yeah, see, this game is awesome. I told you. So I think a lot of it probably has to do with bias confirmation, with feeling like you need to justify the things that you like. Because if you love Days Gone and people are saying it's only a 7 out of 10, I mean, then you're going to freak out about it and say, nah, it's way better than that, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because Lord forbid you just happen to like something that other people think is mediocre.
Yeah. Yeah. No, agreed. Listeners, let us know what you think. Do you think 7 out of 10 is a bad score? What do you do when you read a review? Do you read the whole review? Do you just look at the score too? I'm curious about that too. You can let us know. You can send us a tweet at GamerHeadsPC. You can send us an email at info@GamerHeadsPodcast.com. You can go to our website and leave us a message there, and that's at GamerHeadsPodcast.com, or you can go to our Facebook page, and that's Facebook.com/GamerHeadsPodcast. All right, before we head out, let's go around and tell people how they can get a hold of us. So we'll start with you, Christian. How can people get a hold of you?
Sure, you can follow me on Twitter at Christian Cubza. Otherwise, you can read my reviews at New Game Network, Push Square, and GamerHeadsPodcast.com.
Nice. And what about you, Mike? How can people get a hold of you?
You can find me on Twitter at TCThrowers. You can also find the Controller Throwers podcast right here on GamerHeadsPodcast.com. And be sure to check us out at twitch.tv/TCThrowers.
Nice. And Blue, how can people get a hold of you?
You can almost always find me on Twitter. My handle is @WritersView, and it's spelled with a Y, so WRY. And then I also have a website, which is writersview.com.
Nice. And listeners, like I said, you can always find us on Twitter. That's GamerHeadsPC. You can also go to our website, GamerHeadsPodcast.com, and leave us messages there. The other thing that I've mentioned this in previous episodes, but I'll mention it here again. Do go out to our site. If you want to leave us a review on our iTunes site, we would love to hear what you have to say about our show. I'll have a link out to our website, or to our iTunes account, I should say, in the show notes. So leave us a review there. And also you can, if you listen to us on Podbean, you can also leave us messages on Podbean as well. And we'll get back to you on that as well. All right. So Christian, thank you so much for joining us this week. Okay. Christian has left the building.
Thank you, Roger.
Okay. Yes. He came back.
I couldn't find my mute button. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. And Mike has left.
Beautiful.
I just wanted to be consistent.
Mike's doing it on purpose.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I know.
Roger does place a lot of importance on consistency.
I do. I'm almost afraid to ask. Blue, thank you so much for...
I'm here.
Hey, there she is. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And listeners, thank you so much for giving us a couple hours of your day. We really appreciate you taking the time out and giving us a listen. That means a lot to us. So with that, stay safe, play games, and don't let the bed bugs bite. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Good night.
Gotta work on that one.
I do.